He lied about loving me, tried to make me a vegetable, so I faked amnesia, set a trap, and sent him and his mistress to jail. I thought after my intermittent amnesia, my boyfriend would be the kind of romantic who would never leave, and my best friend would be the caring angel, but when I secretly recovered and wanted to surprise them, I caught them kissing in my bed. It turned out that the deep love of 5 years was all an act. They had always been after my family's money. Fine, if they want to play the role of the award-winning couple, I'll play along and see who will cry at the end. An accident led to my intermittent amnesia. My boyfriend, Jake Williams, promised that even if I forgot the whole world, he would always stay with me, and my best friend, Emily White, quit her job and came from far away to take care of me. I thought I was the happiest person in the world. Later, when my illness unexpectedly improved, I secretly planned to surprise them, but I caught my boyfriend and my best friend cuddling and kissing on my bed. Emily White playfully said, "When she forgets everything, you pretend to be my boyfriend. It's so thrilling, but I've had enough of being a mistress. When are you going to break it to her?" Jake Williams gently caressed her face and said, "Don't worry, baby, her dad's investment hasn't come through yet. Just wait a little longer." It turned out that the 5 years of affection were all a calculation. I turned and dialed the phone of my childhood friend, Matthew Turner. "Matthew Turner, didn't you say you'd come pick me up when I was better? Where are you?" There was a brief silence on the other end of the line before his surprised but incredulous voice answered, "Really, Sophia? You agreed? Wait for me. I'll come get you right away." I hung up the phone, feeling a little weak as I leaned against the study window. Then, I heard Jake Williams's voice from behind. "You're awake? Why are you standing here?" He walked toward me, instinctively trying to embrace me. I almost flinched and instinctively avoided his touch. "Are you not feeling well again?" Even though he was rejected and his hand froze in midair, there was no trace of anger on his face. His tone was filled with concern, but I could still sense the tension he was trying to hide. At that moment, the warmth of 5 years and the dirty scene from earlier collided in my mind. I suppressed the overwhelming nausea and looked up at him. "Jake Williams, I think I got a little dizzy again. I forgot something." I deliberately made my eyes blank and confused, lightly tugging at his sleeve as I whispered, "Did we go for a checkup yesterday? What did the doctor say?" "I can't remember." I stared at Jake Williams's face and didn't miss the brief moment of relief in his eyes. He immediately held me, his voice so gentle it could drown someone. "It's okay, baby. The doctor said you're recovering well. Just needs some time. Don't worry. I'm here. Forgetting something doesn't matter. I'll stay with you until you remember our past." Looking into his affectionate eyes, I felt a coldness in my heart. During the time I waited for Matthew Turner to come pick me up, I already had a plan. For the next few days, I played the part of a patient with intermittent memory loss perfectly. As they saw no improvement in my condition and even noticed a deterioration, Jake Williams and Emily White became increasingly confident, even more bold. There were deliberate touches when handing me water, and casual, intimate glances exchanged as if no one else existed. Emily White even wore the silk pajamas Jake Williams had bought for me, parading around the living room. Jake Williams merely indulged her and casually told me, Yan has been taking care of you so much lately. It's just a sleepwear. Don't overthink it." I responded with a confused, docile smile, as if I truly understood nothing and remembered nothing. My docility completely relaxed their guard, allowing them to become even more reckless under my watch. That night, I went to bed early. I didn't know how much time passed, but suddenly I felt the bed shift, and I heard someone quietly get out of bed and tiptoe away. When the bedroom door was gently closed, I opened my eyes in the darkness. The door to the guest room creaked open. He went to Emily White's room. I thought I would feel heartbroken, but I was strangely calm. With the faint light from the window, I saw his phone quietly lying on the bedside table. Jake Williams, who was always so careful, had forgotten to take his phone. I couldn't help but bitterly smile. Should I feel fortunate that he left himself unguarded around me, this useless person, or should I feel sorrow that I had become so insignificant to him in his eyes? He couldn't even be bothered to make the simplest of covers. Without hesitation, I picked up his phone. My fingerprint had long been erased, so I could only try the number password. I tried over and over again. His birthday was wrong. Emily White's birthday didn't work either. I took a deep breath and tried entering my own birthday. Click. The screen unlocked. My heart felt like it was gripped tightly, and my breath instinctively froze for a moment. I opened WeChat, and at the top was Emily White's account, marked as wife. The confusion in my heart didn't last long before it turned to pain. I trembled as I opened the chat. and the content inside instantly stabbed my eyes. They were blatantly discussing how to deceive me, how to act in front of my father. I discovered that Emily White hadn't come to take care of me after resigning from her job. Instead, Jake Williams used his connections to get her a position as his secretary in his company. What disgusted me the most was that he claimed it was my idea. Open black lens bracket pretending not to know each other at the company. So tiring. Brother Joe. Open black lens bracket baby. Just endure a little longer. It's all for our future. Every word pierced my heart like an ice pick. But my instincts told me their relationship wasn't that simple. I opened his phone gallery and found a hidden album that required a password. He had never allowed me to open it. Every time I asked, he would hold me with a sorrowful look, saying it was a collection of photos of his late mother, and he didn't want outsiders to disturb her peace. It was his deepest pain. Seeing the tears in his eyes, I instinctively felt pity and never brought it up again. Now, I entered my birthday again, but it didn't unlock. I gritted my teeth and entered Emily White's birthday, successfully unlocking it. The moment the album opened, I felt the blood drain from my body. The photos were all of Jake Williams and Emily White. Looking at the background and clothing, it seemed to be from many years ago, likely from their college days. They smiled side by side under cherry blossom trees, fed each other at an amusement park, and tightly embraced in front of the camera. Every photo showed an undeniable affection between them. Piece by piece, I pieced together their past. They were each other's first love. After breaking up, neither of them could let go. Maybe fate had mercy on them. Emily White met me, and I met Jake Williams. This conspiracy, carefully planned against me, had begun. I flipped through the photos one by one, like being forced to watch a movie of my own betrayal and deception. That was when I understood. His deepest pain wasn't his mother, nor me. It was his beautiful past with Emily White, and the present where they couldn't be together openly. I, his fiancé, was just the stumbling block and the ATM for their great love. My mind went blank, and the phone suddenly slipped from my hand. At that moment, a faint noise came from the guest room. Muffled breathing mixed with low growls slipped through the door cracks, a sound that disgusted me. I looked at the phone's glowing screen, which still displayed their faces smiling sweetly. This time, fate had been kind to me. I had uncovered their true faces. And I would not be merciful anymore. In the early hours, after the noise in the guest room subsided for a long while, my bedroom door was gently pushed open. Jake Williams, still damp from the shower, carefully climbed into bed. I lay with my back to him, breathing evenly as if I had already fallen into a deep sleep. He lay beside me, kissed my forehead lightly, and within minutes, his breathing became slow and heavy. But no matter how much he washed, he couldn't wash away that nauseating, sweet-smelling odor. As I felt the lingering breath of his presence on my forehead, I fought the urge to vomit, staying awake the entire night. The next morning, with my eyes slightly red, I complained to them, saying how annoying this illness was, constantly giving me nightmares and making it impossible to sleep peacefully. They exchanged a glance without saying anything and then acted as if everything was fine, showing no concern. At breakfast, my phone suddenly rang. It was my father calling. I answered and put the call on speaker. My father's deep voice came through with concern. "Sophia, how are you feeling today? I'd like to invite you and Jake Williams to lunch and discuss your wedding plans." I looked at Jake Williams, and he immediately gave me a soft, encouraging look. "Sure, Dad," I replied sweetly, showing my dependency on him. Jake Williams also quickly responded to the phone. "Don't worry, Uncle, we'll be there on time." The atmosphere between the three of us was unusually harmonious. Only Emily White, sitting nearby, made an ear-piercing scrape as she cut into her fried egg. She looked at us and forced a stiff smile. Getting married meant the assets my father had promised me would officially be transferred to my name. Soon, everything I had would become Jake Williams's. How could he not go? At lunch, in a private room at a high-end restaurant, my father looked at me and Jake Williams, then glanced at Emily White, his eyes full of gratitude. "Little Jing, little Shu, we really owe you both," my father sighed, his voice sincere but tinged with sadness. Sophia's mother passed away too early. As a father, there were many things I couldn't take care of. Now she's sick again. I really feel bad about it. Once you and Jake Williams get married, I'll be at ease. As for the company, I'm worried that Sophia will get too tired managing everything alone. With Jake Williams helping her, I'm at ease. At my age, I just want to enjoy my old age. Upon hearing this, a hint of uncontrollable joy appeared in Jake Williams's eyes. He straightened up, his tone serious. Uncle, don't worry, I'll take good care of Sophia and manage the company well, never letting you down. Sitting next to him, Emily White forced a smile, her grip tightening around her glass until it seemed ready to break. Suddenly, my father seemed to remember something and affectionately patted Jake Williams's shoulder. However, the wedding still has to be a priority. You two are no longer young. Once you're married, you should start thinking about having children. I'm waiting to hold my grandchildren. His words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly extinguishing the joy in Jake Williams's eyes. A child who might inherit the Williams family fortune, and one that he couldn't control, was clearly not part of his or Emily White's plans. I noticed the stiffness in his expression and silently sneered, keeping my face neutral. Dad, I'm still a kid. What do I need children for? Besides, we're all family, and you're being a bit too formal about it. I pouted, innocently wrapping my arm around my father's, pretending to act spoiled. When I'm better, we can have a grand wedding, but not like this, hurried and rushed. I won't agree to that. Hearing this, Jake Williams's face immediately brightened, and he hurriedly agreed. Yes, Uncle, Sophia's health is the most important. The wedding can wait. I can wait. Exactly. In the midst of Jake Williams and Emily White's eager gazes, I seized the moment and continued in a light-hearted tone. The company matters also need you, Dad, as the anchor. You've got to spend more years helping out. Jake Williams and I are still young, inexperienced, and haven't had enough fun. We're not ready for such a heavy responsibility. You'll have to bear with it a few more years and let us slack off a bit. The atmosphere at the table instantly shifted. Jake Williams's joy, which had just appeared, instantly froze on his face. Emily White, sitting beside him, couldn't even maintain her forced smile, and her face visibly darkened. To avoid being noticed, she lowered her head and stirred her soup vigorously. I secretly smiled, feeling a sense of satisfaction. Back at home, Emily White angrily called Jake Williams into the guest room. Taking advantage of the soundproofing of the door, they argued recklessly. But I had already planted a mini listening device in the guest room. Their heated argument reached my ears without missing a word. Marriage? Kids? Jake Williams, have you lost your mind? Emily White's voice was sharp and piercing, full of rage. How did you tell me back then? Get her family's money and then get rid of her. Now what? Do you really want to marry her and have kids with her? Lower your voice. Jake Williams's tone was full of irritation. That was her dad's suggestion. How could I reject it on the spot? It would have all been exposed. Of course. I had to keep them steady first. Keep them steady? I think you're the one who's getting attached. You're going to be the prince consort of the Williams family, living the high life, right? And when that happens, this secret lover of yours, will you just kick me aside? Faced with Emily White's questioning, Jake Williams clicked his tongue in annoyance. Emily White, get some sense. Who am I doing all this for? Isn't it for our future? Without her family's money, how could we live the easy life? I don't care. Just the thought of you marrying her with everything in the open disgusts me. Jake Williams, listen to me. If you touch her, I will have nothing to do with you. Enough. The most important thing right now is to get the money. Everything else is secondary. If you keep making a scene and ruin this, don't blame me for being rude. The argument raged on for a while, eventually ending with the sound of a door being slammed shut. After a while, the two of them emerged from the guest room, both with dark faces. Emily White's eyes were red, and when she saw me, she immediately rushed over to hug me, her voice cracking with a sob. Sophia, you're the best. Jake Williams, he said I'm in the way, that he wants to get rid of me. Jake Williams quickly put on a helpless expression, playing along with the act. Don't say that. I just think you've been working too hard taking care of Sophia, and when you're here, Sophia has less time to spend with me. I looked at their staged performance and gently smiled. I could feel Emily White's hand stiffen as she hugged me. I pretended to comfort her, patting her back. How could that be? Yan, you're my best friend, and this is your home. Jake Williams, how could you say such a thing? Quickly apologized to Yan. The two exchanged a look, trying to cover up their discomfort, as if still in a silent standoff. The night passed, and the next day, I calculated the time. Matthew Turner should have finished all his business and be on his way to pick me up. I suppressed my excitement and quietly started packing a few important items. But no matter how much I searched the jewelry box and around the house, I couldn't find the white jade bracelet my mother had left me. It was the only thing I had held onto all these years. I instantly lost my composure, my tears almost spilling over. Just then, Emily White walked out of the kitchen, and the white jade bracelet on her wrist caught my eye, shining brightly. I instinctively rushed over and grabbed her wrist. forcefully trying to take the bracelet off. Ah, it hurts. Sophia, what are you doing? Emily White frowned, screaming sharply while trying to break free. Let her go. When Sophia, what's wrong with you? Jake Williams rushed out at the sound, shoving me away. I stumbled back, my eyes red as I pointed at Emily White's wrist, my voice trembling. This is the only keepsake my mother left me. How dare you wear it? Jake Williams stepped in front of Emily White, his face showing a flash of impatience. It's just a bracelet. I see how hard Yan Yan's been taking care of you, so I gave it to her to cheer her up. You also wanted to mend our relationship, didn't you? You can't even part with this little thing? Don't worry, I'll buy you 10 better ones later. Emily White hid behind Jake Williams, clutching her wrist, tears welling up in her eyes. Sophia, I'm sorry, I didn't know you cared so much. I just thought it looked pretty, and Brother Joe said to give it to me. Don't be angry, I'll return it right away. But her actions showed no intention of returning it. My fury reached its peak. Give it back to me, now, immediately. My mother's final keepsake was being defiled by my enemies, and it shattered me more than any betrayal. I moved forward again, trying to take the bracelet from her hand. When Sophia, are you done yet? Jake Williams, too, had had enough. Seeing that I was still trying to pull the bracelet from Emily White, he shoved me back with force. I was caught off guard, losing my balance and falling backward. My elbow instinctively knocked over a glass on the table. The glass shattered on the floor, with shards scattered everywhere. And I landed right on top of them. The sharp pain shot up my palm, and blood stained the glass pieces on the floor. Look at you, what a mess you've become. Mad, reckless. Yan Yan's been taking care of you so diligently, and it's just a damn bracelet. Why are you so stingy and cruel? Jake Williams looked at my bloodied hand with no concern, only scolding. Jake Williams, don't you even remember who your fiancé really is? Jake Williams's eyes flickered for a moment, and he quickly tried to mask his nervousness. Fiancé? Look at you, what a mess. Who would want you but me? If I weren't soft-hearted and taking care of you, you'd be, quote. Before he could finish, the door to the apartment was suddenly slammed open from the outside. Who are you calling unwanted? Dare to say it again? A tall, imposing figure stood at the door, and the cold aura surrounding him was unmistakable. Matthew Turner walked swiftly to my side, knelt down with care, and gently lifted me up, making sure to avoid my wounded hand. At my signal, he took out bandages and iodine from the cupboard and began disinfecting and bandaging my wound. Looking at his furrowed brows and the tenderness in his eyes, my heart warmed unexpectedly for a moment. Who the hell are you? Who let you in? Breaking into private property is illegal, Jake Williams yelled in fury as he watched this strange man act so naturally affectionate toward me. Matthew Turner didn't even bother to glance at him, fully focused on treating my wound. After a moment, he slowly stood up and positioned himself protectively behind me. Who am I? I'm her rightful fiancé. Matthew Turner was slightly taller than Jake Williams, and at that moment, he lowered his gaze, staring at him condescendingly. What? Who the hell do you think you are, calling yourself her fiancé? Jake Williams seemed to think this was a joke, reacting exaggeratedly. I'll tell you, I am Gwen Sophia's fiancé. We had dinner with her father yesterday, discussing our wedding. Matthew Turner sneered, not hiding his contempt. Had dinner yesterday, and that's worth mentioning? He leisurely adjusted his sleeve, his tone calm. I eat with Uncle Wen every day, and you still don't even know where you are, drinking cold water in some corner. Watching Matthew Turner mock him so mercilessly, I had to fight the urge to smile. Jake Williams turned to look at me, his eyes filled with furious anger, as though he'd been provoked. When Sophia, who the hell is he? Tell me. I leaned against Matthew Turner, feeling a long-lost sense of security, and calmly responded. Haven't you heard? He's my fiancé. You. What do you mean? Jake Williams's pupils dilated, and he trembled as he pointed at me, his voice shaking with anger. You actually dared to betray me. We were about to get married, and now you've gone and hooked up with another man, putting a green hat on me. When Sophia, do you think I'm a fool? Betrayal? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Jake Williams, you've lied to me for 5 years, used me for 5 years, secretly carried on with my best friend right under my nose. Now, I've just woken up and seen through your true faces, and somehow I'm the one betraying you? As I finished speaking, Jake Williams's face, which had been angry, instantly turned pale. He staggered back a half step, disbelief in his eyes. When Sophia, you've recovered your memory? Sensing the uncertainty in his voice, I raised an eyebrow without denying it. When did you? When did you start remembering? I sighed, speaking each word clearly. Probably when Emily White said how thrilling it was to have an affair with you while I didn't remember anything, how she didn't want to be the mistress. And when you said you'd dump me once my dad's money came through. Jake Williams's face changed dramatically. He awkwardly rubbed his lips, forcing out a smile that was uglier than crying. Sophia, let me explain. It was all a misunderstanding. We were just confused and worried about you getting hurt. We're about to get married. What benefit would I get from scheming against you? Yeah, that's what I used to think too. I pretended to agree, nodding my head. Seeing his face soften slightly, I continued. Until I saw the messages on your phone, those sweet memories of you two, in the hidden album you never let me open. I didn't even know Emily White was your late mother's, right? I shook my head, pretending to realize. How did you see that? Jake Williams panicked, unable to cover up his exposed lie. I lowered my gaze, my tone calm. That night, after I fell asleep, you went to Emily White's room for your affair, but you forgot to take your phone. 5 years. You've been secretly doing this right under my nose for 5 years. And I, the fool, never noticed. Those are all lies. Jake Williams completely lost it, desperately trying to explain. Those are all AI generated by Emily White. Yes, she's been in love with me, clinging to me. Those photos are from her forcing me to store them on my phone. They have nothing to do with me. Sophia, believe me. I hid them because I didn't want you to get hurt when you saw them. Just as he spoke, Emily White suddenly raised her head, looking at Jake Williams with disbelief. Jake Williams, how could you do this to me? You're clearing your name by throwing all the dirt on me? Those photos were clearly ones you begged me to keep in my phone. It was you who said you couldn't forget me, that you still loved me, begging me to get back together with you. I watched them, feeling some sadness. They had been so close once, but now, their alliance crumbled in an instant. It really was fragile. Stop talking nonsense, Jake Williams shouted angrily at Emily White, trying to stop her from saying anything else. It was you. It was you who kept saying how Sophia was better than you, how you couldn't accept it. You encouraged me. Encouraged you? Emily White sneered, and the next moment, she exploded with rage, cursing loudly. Who said that when Sophia's father's investment was a fat piece of meat, and not eating it would be a waste? Who planned to make an accident to turn when Sophia into a vegetable and then be with me? Jake Williams. Now that everything's exposed, you want to shift all the blame to me? Dream on. Shut up, you bitch. Their naked conspiracy was exposed in front of everyone. And Jake Williams was completely thrown into a panic. He wiped his face quickly and hurriedly said, Sophia, listen to me. It's not like that. I love you. I was deceived by her. She seduced me. I was just confused. My heart has always been with you. Matthew Turner easily brushed off his hand that reached out, his eyes full of disdain. Plotting against your wife and her family's wealth. You are unkind and unjust. When everything is exposed, you shift the blame to your accomplice. And you have no responsibility. Jake Williams, you've really opened my eyes. A man like you is truly a rare specimen. Before Matthew Turner finished speaking, Emily White suddenly laughed wildly. When Sophia, didn't you treat this thing like a treasure? Didn't you fight desperately to get it back? Well, now I'm going to destroy it. If I can't have it, you won't have it either. She took off the white jade bracelet from her wrist, holding it up high in a reckless, desperate gesture. A heavy weight sank in my chest, and I gasped in horror. Don't. At the crucial moment, the expected sound of the jade shattering didn't come. Before Emily White could throw it down, Matthew Turner quickly lunged and grabbed her wrist. With a slight pull, the bracelet slid from Emily White's hand and was safely caught by him. If this bracelet is even slightly damaged, I'll make you pay with your life. His eyes were cold and fierce, glaring at Emily White. Emily White was tossed aside, falling to the ground. She looked at Matthew Turner carefully placing the bracelet back in my hand, then at Jake Williams, whose face had turned ashen, begging me. Suddenly, she laughed bitterly. When Sophia, why do you have everything just because you were born? A privileged family, a loving father, and now, you even have a man to protect you. Jake Williams says he loves me, but I can feel it. He's always loved you. Why? I've schemed, planned for 5 years, given everything, yet still can't get what I want. And you've done nothing, and can easily have it all. That's not fair. Listening to her hysterical yelling, I felt no satisfaction, only sorrow. She only saw the surface of my life, not knowing that this easy life was bought with my mother's life. Years ago, my father built everything from scratch. My mother, pregnant with me and with a large belly, struggled everywhere to raise funds for the startup. In the end, when she gave birth to me, she bled heavily and didn't survive the operation. My father endured a grief that could crush anyone, taking care of me while shouldering the burden of the company. He attended countless social events, drinking until his stomach bled, just to fight for the family business. This road was paved with blood and tears, and no one except my father and I could understand it. I was about to speak when Matthew Turner gently placed a hand on my shoulder. He looked at the crazed Emily White on the floor and ruthlessly scolded her. You spent 5 years scheming, and all you got was a man who only pushes you to take the fall when things go wrong. Do you know why? Because this is what you deserve. Instead of walking the right path, you've spent all your time scheming for other people's money, stabbing others in the back, always thinking of shortcuts. People like you aren't even worth mourning if they die. But you did say one thing right. Matthew Turner paused, wrapping his arm around me. That's truly unfair. Even if Sophia had nothing, she still has me. And that's the biggest unfairness between you two. Emily White collapsed to the ground, her gaze vacant as she stared at the ceiling, her lips moving but no sound came out. But Jake Williams wasn't giving up. Ignoring Matthew Turner's presence, he threw himself at my feet, grabbing my legs and pleading with tears. Sophia, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Give me one more chance. Just one. I swear I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you, loving only you, taking care of you. We'll be like we were before. No, better than before, please. I gently pulled my leg away and spoke in a distant tone. Jake Williams, it seems that in your eyes, Sophia, have always been just a fool you could play with. Fool me once. That's naivety. Fool me twice. That's stupidity. I'm not stupid enough to jump into the same pit a second time. I slightly curled my lips and glanced at Matthew Turner beside me. Besides, I already have a fiancé. He's wonderful, 1,000 times better than you. No, Sophia, forgive me. Jake Williams's jaw tightened, his face flushed red, and he tried to lunge toward me again. Matthew Turner had lost all patience. Without hesitation, he lifted his foot and kicked Jake Williams's elbow joint. Jake Williams groaned in pain as he fell to the ground, his hand suddenly losing its strength. Matthew Turner didn't even look at him, grabbing me in one swift motion and speaking in a steady voice. We're going home. Behind us. Jake Williams's anguished screams gradually faded away, until they disappeared entirely. When we got home, my father had been waiting at the door. He had cooked a table full of my favorite dishes. Seeing my bandaged hands, he was filled with concern. As he helped me with my food, he scolded me gently. Foolish child, since you already knew the truth, why go back and pretend with them? Why put yourself through all this pain? If your mother knew, she'd definitely blame me for not taking better care of you. My father sighed, his voice tinged with sadness. I took a deep breath, my voice firm. Don't you remember who spoiled me, Dad? It's all your fault. I've always been clear on who I love and hate. The tears they made me shed, I will make them pay back 1,000 times over. This is just the beginning. What I wanted was for them to lose everything, to be utterly disgraced, and lose what they valued most. Looking at me, filled with determination, my father shook his head helplessly, but his eyes were filled with affection. He knew that his daughter was never someone who could be easily manipulated. Suddenly, my father turned to Matthew Turner, who was sitting beside me. Matthew Turner, I really owe you this time. He called his name, but Matthew Turner didn't react. I turned to look and saw Matthew Turner staring at me, his gaze focused. I nudged him with my elbow and whispered, "Hey, Dad's calling you." Matthew Turner snapped out of his trance, his face flushing a deep red. He hurriedly turned toward my father, stumbling over his words. Dad, did you call me?" The entire dining room fell silent for a moment. My father and I exchanged a glance, unable to hold back our laughter. My father laughed heartily and teased. Well, Matthew Turner, haven't officially stepped into the door yet, and you're already calling me, Dad. How big should the red envelope be for this address change? Matthew Turner's face turned even redder. He thought my father was testing his sincerity and immediately straightened his posture, speaking urgently but seriously. Uncle, no, I didn't mean it like that. I'm saying, I don't want the red envelope. Matthew Turner, would never take a single penny from the Williams family. All my personal assets can be immediately transferred to Sophia's name. Everything I have in the Fu family, anything that's mine, will be hers in the future. Seeing him practically offering his heart on a platter, my father was reassured. He patted Matthew Turner on the shoulder with satisfaction and smiled. All right, I was just kidding, but you're a good man. Very good. This is exactly how a son-in-law of the Williams family should be. Looking at the man who blushed at a teasing remark, I suddenly remembered our childhood. We were neighbors back then, playing and arguing every day, fighting over a single piece of candy. I even once declared we wouldn't talk for 3 days out of anger. The memory of that stubborn little boy and the steady, reliable man in front of me overlapped, and I couldn't help but feel playful again. I tilted my head, smiling brightly at him, and purposely drew out my words. Hey, Matthew Turner, how come I never realized, you're such a great guy? Matthew Turner was momentarily stunned by my question, and when he met my smiling eyes, the faint redness on his face flared up again. Ahem, you just realized that now? He picked up his water glass and took a sip, then snorted lightly, murmuring. With that expression, there was no trace of the coldness he showed toward Jake Williams. He looked just like a pure, innocent boy. My father and I couldn't help but laugh again at his reaction. But the warm and harmonious atmosphere didn't last long, as a knock on the door interrupted us. Matthew Turner stood up to open the door, and when it swung open, it was Jake Williams, looking haggard. What are you doing here? You're not welcome. Let me see Sophia. I just want to say a few words. Jake Williams seemed to have lost his mind, pushing past Matthew Turner and barging in. When he saw me, he immediately knelt on the floor. Sophia, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. This is all the shares of my company. I'm willing to transfer them to you for free. Not a penny for me. I only ask for you to forgive me just this once. I didn't reach for the documents. I simply spoke coldly. Jake Williams, I don't need your money. Who are you trying to put on a show for now? This isn't a show. It's real. Jake Williams gripped my arm tightly, his voice cracking. I've thought about it over and over these past few days, and I finally see the truth of my heart. I've always loved you, Sophia. I would give you my life. Emily White only seduced me, a little obsession from my youth. How could I have taken it seriously? I've completely woken up now. I've turned over a new leaf. Please, just give me a chance to make it up to you. Before he finished speaking, a loud shout came from the direction of the kitchen. You bastard, how dare you come here? My father rushed out, holding a mixing stick, and without a word, he swung it straight at Jake Williams. He kept hitting while cursing with full energy. Playboy, looking at someone else's bowl while eating your own. Who do you think you're fooling, man? You're only after our family's money, and you can't let go of this fat piece of meat, huh? Your small company is worth nothing. I wouldn't take a penny from it. Get out of here, uncle. Stop hitting me. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Jake Williams ducked and shielded his head, repeatedly begging for forgiveness as he was being beaten. Matthew Turner immediately stepped forward, unceremoniously dragging Jake Williams up from the ground and throwing him out the door. After he left, my father, still fuming, cursed loudly and grabbed the share transfer document, ready to tear it apart, but I stopped him. What a perfect opportunity to save me the trouble of doing it myself. I signed the document, making the contract officially valid. 2 days later, I personally went to Jake Williams's company. In the meeting room, a shareholders' meeting was underway. Jake Williams sat at the head. Emily White sat next to him, both looking uneasy. I pushed the door open and walked in. How can there be a shareholders' meeting without calling me the largest shareholder? When Emily White saw me, she jumped to her feet. When Sophia, what right do you have to come here? This company has nothing to do with you. Oh, nothing to do with me? I smiled lightly and slammed the share transfer agreement on the table. Jake Williams has transferred all the company's shares to me for free. What? What's going on, Mr. Jing? Didn't you say you bought back our shares at a low price to manipulate the stock price? The shareholders instantly exploded in outrage, glaring at Jake Williams. Emily White also panicked, shouting at Jake Williams. Have you lost your mind? What are we going to do if you gave the company to her? Jake Williams swallowed hard, his face pale. I raised my hand to signal for quiet. Everyone, rest assured, I'm not here to ruin the scene or destroy the company. I'm here to do 2 things. First, as the largest shareholder of the company, I announce that, effective immediately, both Jake Williams and Emily White are fired. Second, I've handed the evidence of their embezzlement to the police. If you check the time, the police should be downstairs by now. Before I finished speaking, the meeting room door was pushed open again. Several police officers quickly took Jake Williams and Emily White away. When Sophia, you won't die a good death. Before leaving, Emily White cursed at me with all her might. But Jake Williams was completely desperate. As the police led him away, he glanced back at me one last time, his eyes filled with pain and regret. But it was too late. In the past, with me as their cash cow, they never valued money. Now, because of their economic crimes, not only would they go to jail, but they'd also be burdened with tens of millions of debts. They would never be able to pay that back in their lifetime. When I left the company building, I let out a deep breath. The sun was shining brightly, warming me all over. The ending of the story wasn't about the prince and princess living happily ever after, but about the girl finally crowning herself as her own queen. She lost her naive fantasies, but she won a powerful world.